Hi, my friends. How are you? What day is it? It is Thursday, and I don't know about anybody else. My kids are out of school as of tomorrow. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Just wanted to get on here because I was talking to a friend the other day, I guess it was yesterday, and she was telling me about an experience that she had. And let me tell you a little bit about my friend. My friend is a single woman and has fallen in love with an amazing guy, and they have this awesome relationship where they have really, really great communication and a lot of same spiritual values. Like I've never, seen anything like it. It's pretty cool. And she loves this man very much, and he loves her. And she was telling me about an experience that she had the other night that was pretty scary. And she was at her house, and her boyfriend was in the living room. And all of a sudden she heard this large thunk, like a big thunk. And she walked in only to find him passed out unconscious on the floor. So immediately she starts telling me this story, and immediately she's saying that she was scared, like obviously, right? She sees them on the floor. She didn't know what had happened, and they had been enjoying themselves during the evening, just watching TV, having a little food, hanging out. And she immediately was like, oh, snap, like what's going on? She went down, said his name, tried to wake him up. He didn't wake up. Immediately she called 911. And firemen came, checked him out, and everything seemed to be okay. He obviously, I think he started waking up when she was on the phone with 911. I think she told me, and so she was really, really scared, and something had happened. He hadn't felt good, and if you can imagine, just being in that situation, from my friend's perspective, seeing someone that you very much love, that you've fallen in love with, and met the love of your life. Seeing this person that appeared to be what she said was dead. So I asked her, I said, well, tell me what feelings you were feeling. And she said, oh my gosh, I was panicking. I don't want to lose him, and life is so precious. And I said, well, what did you feel afterwards? And she said, well, I didn't want it to make it about me. I had to kind of nurse him back to health, just make sure he was okay. He had fallen and hit his head. And so he had a huge bump on his head. And she said she didn't want to make it about her, but it was really, really, really scary. And she said he was just kind of a little off and kind of trying to come to, and she didn't sleep very well that night. And she said, so it was really rough. And I said, well, what was he feeling? And she said, well, he was trying to make sense of it all, but because he had hit his head, it wasn't quite making sense. And I said, well, what happened yesterday morning? And she said, well, I woke up and basically that she, my kids just started playing the radio. I can hear it in there. And I hear one of them go, Mom's on a live right now. Anyway, and she said that he had apologized to her and saying, oh, I'm sorry I didn't scare you. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. I've done this before one other time. And she kind of said she couldn't sleep that night because she was in shock, right? And turn it down, lovely ladies. If you could just see, they're dancing right now. Anyway, so she said that he was, she was in shock. She couldn't sleep, but she didn't want to make it all about her because he was the one that obviously hadn't felt good. He started putting two and two together, saying he didn't feel good when he was sitting on the couch and kind of woke up to get some fresh air and figured out that he wasn't, he was dizzy, and kind of turned around and probably hit her coffee table and then hit his head on the floor. And so she, didn't want to make it about her. But at the same time, her experience was really, really scary. And I'm sure that he was scared too. And that he was probably scared for his health a little bit, although, oh, hey, thanks, Shelly. Although, he was kind of maybe not, I guess it sounded like he was not brushing it off, but I basically said, is he going to go to the doctor and get checked up? And she said, yes, he is. And so it got me thinking about two different people being in the same scary experience. And I think a lot of times what we need to realize is that I want you to think about who's behind your eyeballs, right? Who's behind your eyeballs? You are, and it's your soul, and your soul is having this certain experience. And so you're visually seeing it, which is a sense. You're feeling it. You're feeling everything happening in your body, all the chemicals happening in your body. And each person in the same event is having kind of a totally different experience because they're seeing it behind their eyes and with their senses. And it's when two people come together and try and understand one another in that same scary event. So she, my friend was saying she didn't want to feel like it was all about her, because obviously that was very scary for her. She didn't want to lose this man. She thought maybe it, like the thought, she said, flashed in her head like, oh my God, did he just die on my living room floor? And for him, he was like, okay, wait, with my health, should I be concerned? Should I not? I didn't feel good. Why didn't I feel good? And, oh, I'm concerned about her, but I still don't feel good because, he had a bump on his head. And so she said he, had a headache yesterday and didn't feel that great. And I guess I said, well, what happened? Did you guys end up being able to talk about it? And she said, yeah, the two of us got together and talked about it and both understood where each other was coming from. And she said, I told him that, she basically asked him if he was scared, and he had said, or something like that. And he had said, yeah, he was scared. Hi, Michael. Hi. I'm getting ready actually to do Jess's EDM ride and at 4:30 p.m. my time. So why don't you ride with me? Yeah, it's going to be a good one. In fact, I got to go take an e-shot to get some energy. All right, back to the story. Basically, they had talked about it and they had compassion for one another, but they also understood that each of them were having a totally different experience, and really understanding, Michael, don't be a wimp. Get on there and do that ride. Each of them understanding that their experience was different of the same scary experience. And instead of somebody getting defensive, let's say it could have happened where she was like mad at him, right? Like, why'd you do that? You need to go get checked out. I was super scared. And she could have been like, reacted in a whole different way. She could have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared and you should be taking better care of your health, whatever projection she could have put on him. He could have also been like, hey, listen, thank you, Maya. He could have also been like, listen, lady, it's not about you. I was the one that was sick or something happened to me, and he could have played victim. But instead, they were compassionate to one another, had amazing communication with each other to be able to work through it, be able to say what their needs are. So I guess he expressed to her that he didn't want her to worry. Here was another thing that we talked about. He had said, don't worry, why are you worrying about this? And in a way, she kind of felt, as we talked it through, she kind of felt like, listen, my experience is to be worried about it. And I can have that experience, and it's my journey to be worried. And he took it personally that she was worried. Like, he didn't want her to be worried about him. So he took it personally. And yet, in a way, he needs to let her be worried a little bit, and he needs to take care of him and not take it so personally. And thank heavens she didn't take that comment personally as well, right? She didn't react to him, because I said, well, how'd you react to him when he said, don't worry? She just said, listen, I am worried, and it's okay that I'm worried. And what I would need from you is to go to your doctor and get a checkup. And he said, you're right, I'll go do that. So just amazing amount of compassion and understanding from somebody else's soul. And looks like I have a low network connection for some reason. So hopefully it'll come. Oh, I just popped back on. Anyway, but that they understood each other. They communicated without letting their egos take over and get in the way. They communicated with one another to talk about both experiences and have grace and compassion with one another and express their needs. And be able to say, hey, here are my boundaries. Like, I think she said, I am worried. It's okay. I'll get over it. I just need to process through this. And he was like, I don't want you to be worried. I'm sorry I scared you. I will go to the doctor. And so just huge example for me, these two of how to live our lives. And if we can just even take that with an argument, let's say you're at work and your boss has something to say to you about the way you are performing. If you could just take for a minute and stop before you say anything to see what's happening behind their eyes, then you would be able to understand a little bit more about what their experience is, and you would be less of an ego standpoint. And vice versa. I think if we could all understand each other's soul's journey, I think about that a lot when I see people, like homeless people on the side of the road. I think, what do they see behind their eyes? And how can I be compassionate? How can I help? A lot of times it's just a silent prayer. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of jump on here and tell that, show you the example of that story, and make you guys think a little bit different, in a different perspective, and especially in a relationship where you can communicate in a scary event where a lot of people end up in a scary event getting really, like, their ego jumps in because they either want to fix it, or they want to get angry, or they don't want to deal with their sadness, and so they stuff it away, or they don't want to deal with their fear of, like, losing somebody else, or even their own humanity. And two people who can come together and talk about it, and talk about their experience from one another's perspective, and be able to understand and love one another. So anyway, I gotta go ride. I gotta go do a 45-minute ride. I'm still like, I'm tired today, but it's a good day. Kids are out of school tomorrow. Summer vacation begins. It's gorgeous here in Phoenix. Normally it's over 100 right now. I think it's like 75, and I'm loving life. So thanks all for listening, and you guys have a fantastic evening. Oh, by the way, drop some comments if you agree with anything or whatever you want to say. I got to get better about interacting with you guys. Like, drop some comments, drop some fire bombs, whatever people say. Awesome, Shelly. I'm so glad that this is making sense to you today, and you can reach out to me if you have any other questions, okay? All right, you guys, have a great day. Time for me to go get sweaty and nasty and then make a yummy salmon dinner. Mwah!